We are live. Hello, Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video Q&A for Friday, May 26th. Welcome to our video chat. We are streaming this both through the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel as well as over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. So if you are joining in right now, please let me know and type into our chat window if this is coming through loud and clear on your end. I always like to just make sure that it is before we get into the Q&A today. Let's see, this is coming through. We have Cool Gamer joining in. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to our video chat. All right, more people popping on. We have Lee Dunnigan joining in loud and clear. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate that. Awesome. Good stuff. Well, obviously it is coming through, and as always, the regulars of the chat know that I always like to do that little audio video check because you never know, right? The way things are, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? So I always want to do that check. And Murphy's Law always comes into play because I remember a while back I was having a video chat and I didn't do it. I just assumed that always works. I'm just going to start yakking. And then next thing you know, right, the settings on the microphone weren't connected, and then I started getting comments saying, we can see your face moving and your mouth moving, but there's nothing coming out. So the audio wasn't coming through, right? So I always want to make sure it's coming through. All right. So the way these video chats work is I'm going to be hanging out here for the next hour, and we're going to have a chat relating to fitness and nutrition, health and wellness, and all that kind of good stuff. So if there's any particular questions or topics of discussion that you would like to cover related to exercise, related to nutrition, related to building muscle, related to losing fat, optimizing your health and wellness, all that kind of stuff, feel free to type those questions and topics of discussion into our chat window, and I'll do the best I can to help you out over the course of our video chat. And if I can help you, I will let you know. And if not, then I will let you know that as well, right? I don't claim to be a know-it-all. Right? Even though I've been involved in the fitness industry for over 30 years and have helped a lot of people along the way, I don't claim to be a know-it-all or have all the answers, right? So if there's something that I am unsure of, I'm not going to BS you and try and give you the runaround. I'll just be straight up and tell you, you know what? I do not know the answer to that, but I can probably try and point you into the right direction because I do have a large network of friends and colleagues who are experts in different areas in the fitness and nutrition area. So if that is something that you need help with, I might be able to point you in the right direction to someone who can help you in any specific challenges or situations that you may be going through. All right. So with that being said, let's get into it. And first off, over the past week, and if you tuned into our video chat last week, you know, I was talking about our Lose Your Gut Challenge. And this is something that we do regularly through the whole Total Fitness Bodybuilding community. Over the past several years, I've ran several of these Lose Your Gut Challenge groups, and we just ran one this past week. In fact, today we had our graduation workshop for the Lose Your Gut Challenge group, and I got to say, it was an amazing group of guys who went through it, and I really enjoyed it. This was the first Lose Your Gut Challenge that I did this year, so it's the first one of 2023, and it went really well. A lot of positive feedback, and if you want to kind of get some idea of the feedback and the what people are saying about it, you can actually head on over to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page. And right now, there are over 200 5-star reviews from people who have gone through the Lose Your Gut Challenge program. So it's creating quite a stir, and a lot of people are enjoying it. A lot of people taking action and getting some immense value from that program. So if it's something that you are interested in, feel free to reach out to me, and I can put you on the list for the next time we do one of these challenge groups. And that would be a great way to really take your fitness and nutrition and that to that next level, because the way the challenge groups work is it's an interactive challenge, right? It's not just giving you another diet plan. It's not just telling you, hey, here's a workout split, go do it. It's taking you through the process and breaking it down step by step and outlining the pitfalls that a lot of people go through when they're trying to optimize their health and fitness. Because the biggest problem I see when someone tries to go on a diet is they think of suffering it out for the short term. Like, I'm going to go on some cutting diet. I'm going to go keto. I'm going to go carnivore. I'm going to intermittent fast, or I'm going to go vegan, or I'm going to go on Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig, or I'm going to start taking diet pills, or I'm going to do something, and try and drastically cut the weight, right? My phone is buzzing on me. Hang on, guys. When the phone charges up, it always buzzes and tells me to unplug the charger. So I don't know. Do what I'm told. Unplug the phone. But where was I? I was talking about when most people want to go on a fat loss cutting diet, for example. They always think of going on some sort of extreme diet, and I'm going to suffer it out. Right? I was actually having a chat to somebody today through Messenger, and they were saying, "Oh, I started a diet on Monday. Oh man, it's brutal." And I was thinking, if you started a diet on Monday and it's already brutal, you're probably going too hard too soon. Because if from Monday to Friday it's already brutal, how are you going to sustain that for the rest of your life? You're already hitting the threshold, and it's not even been a full week yet, right? How are you going to sustain that for the rest of your life? And the key when it comes to any sort of lasting, sustainable program is you have to enjoy it. It can't be brutal, right? I know it sounds cool to say I'm on this hardcore cutting diet and, suffering it out and man up, no pain, no gain, rah, full of piss and vinegar and all that bullshit. But that's not sustainable. You have to enjoy what it is you're doing. You have to be able to sustain it day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. It has to be a lifestyle and not just something that you're going to grit your teeth and suffer for the next, few weeks or few months. It has to be a lifestyle change. And that's what we go into a lot of detail within the Lose Your Gut Challenge, is showing you how you can actually enjoy the process while still achieving your fitness and fat loss goals without suffering it out and feeling like you're starving on some crazy cutting diet or killing yourself in the gym. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to reach out to me. And again, you can friend me up over on Facebook. You can reach out to me through email. All my details are down in the description below this video. So if that's something you're interested in, by all means, reach out and we can have a chat. All right, let's see what else we got here. Who's joining in live? I see a lot of regulars. We got John is joining in. John was a part of our Lose Your Gut Challenge group. Great to see you participating in that. Much appreciated, much respect. Let's see who else we have there. It says, can't post comments due to some destinations. I'm getting some error message coming up here on my end. I'm not sure if some people are trying to comment and it is not coming through. I don't know. That's weird. If by chance this is not, I hope it's coming through. I hope it is. That's weird. I never ever seen that error message before. Anyway, if I am missing anybody's questions or comments, it's not that I'm doing it intentionally. I got an error message saying that some of the comments may not be coming through depending on the destination they're posted at. So I'm seeing we got people joining in from YouTube. Majority of people are over on YouTube. We have some people joining in over on my personal Facebook as well as the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook. But hopefully this is coming through. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. Who else is joining in? We have David is joining in. Welcome, David. We got Robert's joining in. Glad to have you. Dave as well. Good stuff. Good. Awesome. And I do recognize some names and faces from our Lose Your Gut Challenge group. So I was glad to see you participating over here as well. We've had a lot of conversations because every day throughout the Lose Your Gut Challenge, I do 2 live videos very similar to this every single day. One is a video lesson of the day, which is a teaching. And then at the end of the day, I do a video summary outlining the feedback on how people were implementing the teaching lesson. So we've had a lot of interaction over the past week. All right, let's move into our questions. Sean has got a question. Says, Lee, what age should most men use TRT, i.e. testosterone replacement therapy? Do you use it if you don't mind me sharing? If you don't mind sharing. All right, what age should most men use TRT? That depends on the individual, right? That's like saying, when should somebody take insulin? When should somebody get chemotherapy? When should somebody take blood pressure pills? When should somebody take cholesterol pills? It depends on the individual and their situation. Like testosterone replacement therapy is medication to replace testosterone in people who are deficient in testosterone. Now, generally speaking, the older you get, right, when people are pushing 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, your testosterone levels really start to decline. For some people, it declines earlier. Like I've talked to some guys who've had low testosterone even in their 30s, which is rare, right? That's not normal. But most people, probably when you're in your, 40 plus, 50 plus, in that range, like most guys that I know who are using testosterone replacement therapy are probably late 40s, early 50s, or beyond. Somewhere in that range is kind of like the norm for most people, right? But it depends on the individual, and it depends on your own hormone levels. Like, are you in the optimal range for what's considered normal? And there is ranges, right? Like, and it all depends on how you measure it. Like, because in Canada we have one unit of measurement, in the United States you have another unit of measurement, but you have basically, the three broad categories. You have the high normal, which is where you want to be. You have the normal, which is okay, and then there's the low range. And unfortunately, for most doctors and stuff, if someone is in the high low, like they're below normal, but they're not like rock bottom, right? They're still in the low end of the category. A lot of times they say, oh, you don't qualify for hormone replacement therapy, right? Suffer it out, right? You're less than optimal, but we're not going to do anything to help you. Right? It's kind of frustrating. And that's where heading to hormone replacement therapy clinics can certainly help, because they understand this and they can certainly help. And if that is something you're interested in, I actually made a specific video talking about hormone replacement therapy, breaking all this down into detail. And if you just do a search for Lee Hayward, TRT/HRT, you should find that video. In fact, what I'll do is just for the heck of it, I'll post the link into our group. Lee Hayward TRT. Let me see if that pops up there. It should pop up in the videos somewhere. If you do a YouTube search for it, and it should pop up there. Even if you do a Google search, it popped up for me, but I'm going to get that link for you and post it into our video chat so you can refer to this. And this will help to, where am I to here? Give you some more information. So I'm just going to comment, this is the TRT video. You'll know what I'm talking about, right? It's posted down there in the comments. So after this video is done, head on over and check that one out. All right. As for myself, am I using TRT personally? No, I'm not using TRT right now. Will I use it in the future? I probably absolutely will. But the last time I had my testosterone levels checked, things were in the normal range. They weren't in the high normal. They weren't in the normal. They were right smack dab in the middle. So as long as it's in the middle, I'm happy with that. And when it comes to hormones, you don't want it too high and you don't want it too low. It's like the Goldilocks rule. You want it just right. Because if it's too high, that comes with a whole slew of side effects, just the same if it's too low. And myself and Mike Brown, one of my personal coaching students, we did an interview a while back talking about his progress and his personal experiences using TRT, and that's available up on my YouTube channel as well under the Muscle After 40 Success Stories. So if you want to go check that out, you certainly can. That video, Mike shares some of the pros and cons of going through hormone replacement therapy. And what ended up happening is when he first started it, he was on too high of a dose and his testosterone level started to get too high. Red blood cells started to get too high, and he literally had to do a blood dump to get, keep the blood cells and everything in check. And of course, they had to monitor his levels. And even it's not a quick fix solution, right? A lot of people think, oh, I'm going to get on TRT and all my woes are going to be solved. I'm going to be ripped and jacked and shredded, and I'm going to look like a pro bodybuilder. No, it ain't the magic bullet. In fact, most guys who go on TRT, a year later, they're coming and reaching out to me for help and saying, okay, I've been taking TRT for the past year, and while it's helped in some regard, I'm still fat and out of shape. What do I do? And it's like, it doesn't cancel out poor diet and exercise choices, right? It's another tool in the toolbox to help optimize one area. It helps to optimize your testosterone and your growth hormone and other whatever hormones you're getting replaced, whether it's testosterone growth hormone, thyroid hormone, whatever. It just helps to correct that, but it doesn't cancel out, poor lifestyle choices, which is where most people are stuck into. But anyway, myself and Mike, in that video we did, he was going into detail, sharing like he has to go and get regular blood work every few months. and they're constantly adjusting, his testosterone replacement therapy medication based on how his body is responding. Like sometimes they need to lower it down, sometimes they need to jack it up, sometimes they need to add in some auxiliary medication as well to combat certain things. So, there's a lot of work to it, right? Be totally upfront and transparent. It's not some, set it and forget it, I'm all done. There is a lot of work to it, but when you get it dialed in, it can make a massive difference, especially for guys who are, in their 50s and beyond. This can really help to accelerate your gains, because as you're getting into your later years, your testosterone levels and growth hormone and everything else are on the decline. And that can be the weak link in the chain that limits your progress. So if you fix all those links and you fix the weak link, that can help to optimize your progress overall. So again, if you want to check out those videos, by all means, go ahead and do so, and it would certainly help. And if you need help, like if you want some recommendations for like a hormone replacement therapy clinic where you can actually get some free consultations and talk to doctors and specialists, I know of some that are operating within the United States that you can reach out to. Just drop me an email or a Facebook message or whatever, and I can recommend them to you so you can go check them out. And a lot of my personal coaching students are actually utilizing, some of these clinics. So again, if that's something you're interested in, just let me know and I'll forward you the information you need. J.E. says, Lee, what's the best rep range in your opinion when cutting? Low, heavy, moderate, or high volume? The most important thing when cutting, and I don't like that word cutting because it has a short-term association. For those of you who've gone through the Lose Your Gut Challenge, you know what I'm talking about, because I broke down the differences between cutting and lifestyle building. And the crash diet cutting approach is kind of like this short-term band-aid, suffer it out approach, whereas we want to focus on long-term lasting change. But to answer your question, right, what's the best rep range? It doesn't matter, because you need all the different rep ranges depending on what it is that you're training and your fitness goals and all that. But certain exercises work better for higher reps. Certain better exercises work better in the moderate reps, and certain exercises work better in the low reps. And that applies regardless if your main goal is to lose body fat or your main goal is to build muscle. Right? Those exercises, certain movements work better in certain rep ranges regardless. The biggest variable that changes when someone's training for optimizing fat loss versus optimizing lean mass is not so much the training, but it's the nutrition and the cardio that's done along with the training. So if I was like, for example, when I'd be getting ready for a bodybuilding competition, my workouts would pretty much stay the same. Like I don't have this is a muscle building workout and this is a fat loss workout, or this is a get big workout, this is a get small workout, or no. The goal of the workout is to stimulate muscle, build muscle tissue. It's always to build muscle tissue. Like we don't train to lose muscle tissue, right? So the workouts themselves, in terms of lifting weights and strength training, doesn't really change. What changes is the addition of cardio, or increasing the volume and the duration of the cardio, along with optimizing the nutrition and ensuring that you're in a calorie deficit. Those are the two biggest variables, but the workouts themselves should always be done in a progressive fashion. Now, with that being said, as you start to lose body weight, as your weight comes down, what you will find very often is your strength may suffer in the process, especially your max strength, like your 1 rep max bench press or squat or deadlift or something like that. Your big, heavy compound lifts may go down if you lose a significant amount of weight, or if you're in an aggressive calorie deficit, because you simply don't have enough glycogen and energy to power up those big weights. So you may have to adjust the weights accordingly. But what you'll also find is very often your strength for reps, or your body weight exercises, or exercises that require more stamina versus peak power and torque, will actually improve. So while you might not hit a new personal best bench press when you're on a fat loss diet, you might hit a personal best in the number of push-ups that you can do, or the number of pull-ups that you can do, or other body weight related exercises, or exercises for reps. A lot of times that will actually improve as you get in better conditioning overall, and especially as you lose body weight, the body weight movements will come easier. But the big power moves, i.e. benches and squats and deadlifts and those type of things, a lot of times they will go down as you lose weight. And it's not necessarily because you're losing muscle, but a lot of times you're just losing leverage from the sheer mass. Like with a squat, for example, if you got extra weight on, even if it's extra fat weight, that helps improve your leverages for the squat. Like if you've ever seen some of the biggest squatters in the world, a lot of times they got big guts, and they got those guts compressed into their powerlifting belts. And of course, then you have powerlifting suits and equipment and everything else. And if you got a lot of mass, even if it's fat mass, and you're stuffed into the powerlifting equipment like a sausage, all the tension of that sheer mass can help you to rebound and actually help to improve your leverages. So you see someone who's a big, massive guy with a big stomach that sticks out further than his chest, and he squats down, and that stomach, bounces off his thighs and helps him to rebound out of the bottom of the squat. I mean, it doesn't look pretty, but they can move massive amounts of weight. And very often when you see like world record squatters, they very often got big stomachs and big torsos. They're thick because all that mass helps provide stability and leverage in those lifts, right? Same thing if you're looking at someone who's a strong bench presser, right? Usually they got a big, thick barrel chest and torso. Very often they probably got short, stocky arms, and it just helps to optimize their leverage. And the thicker and the more meat they got on their bones, even if it's not all lean meat, right? Even if it's just chunk and there's a bit of fat there, that helps to increase their leverages and their pure raw power when it comes to big, heavy lifts like that. But then there's the drawback, because if you got all that extra weight, well, how's that affecting your overall stamina and conditioning when it comes to other things, right? I mean, okay, it's wonderful if you can squat 500 pounds, but then you get winded climbing a flight of stairs, right? You can't run a mile because you're so fat and out of shape, but you can squat 500 pounds, right? Like you see that a lot. And I mean, I was kind of in a similar situation myself at my peak, right? Like back in the day, I got my weight up to, I was 240 pounds at my all-time heaviest at 5'6". So based on my height, weight, like that literally put me into the obese category, right? Now I know by today's standards, someone saying 240 pounds, like we consider that a skinny guy by today's standards, right? You're not obese unless you're on my 600 pound life, right? But by a true height and weight chart, 240 at 5'6", that puts me right up there in the obese category. So that's where I was. And that's also around the time when I was really focusing on powerlifting. So my all-time best lifts were at that weight. Like I had my best bench press, my best squat, my best deadlift at that weight. But that was the only thing I was good at, because even trying to do other types of things like do cardio, I mean, I would literally get winded just going for a walk. I can remember back around that time, I went for a walk because I was getting to the point where I was just getting so heavy. I said, man, I think I got to try and lose some of this weight. So I went for a 20-minute walk. And by the time that 20-minute walk was done, I was gasping for air and my back was aching. My feet and joints were aching. Like I felt like shit. I mean, I felt like, I was suffering the same problems that an obese person would have. Even though I was strong in the gym, my cardio and my conditioning for real world practical stuff was crap. So now I focus on well-rounded fitness, and cardiovascular conditioning, stamina, all that stuff is just as, if not more important than simply being able to lift heavy weight in the gym. So I focus on well-rounded fitness now. And that's what I encourage most people to focus on, especially if your goal is to live a long, healthy life and to enjoy it in the process. But getting back, I know that was a big, long answer for a simple question. Right? That's what you're getting. Sometimes you open up a can of worms. So I went on a bit of an enthusiastic observation with that one. Right? I used to call it a rant, but one of my coaching students, Paul, he says, Lee, you don't do rants. He says, you just do enthusiastic observations. And I said, oh, thanks, Paul. You're really, really giving me a pat on the back there. So that's my enthusiastic observation about losing fat and cutting and training volume. All right, moving on. Marwan's joining in. Hope you're doing well, my friend. I certainly am. Thanks for tuning in. Glad to see you joining our video chat. I actually met up with Marwan down earlier this year we were at a fitness conference down in Cancun, Mexico, and we got in a workout together at the local, well, the resort gym that we were staying at, that our conference was at, which was really cool. We actually did a YouTube video together, or we shot a video, and you know what? It's still on my phone. I have never actually went around uploading that video. So you know what, Marwan, you just triggered me to remind me about that video we did together. I think I'm going to have to get that posted up sometime this week. All right. It was a video sharing some exercise tips for building up the shoulders, specifically the rear delts. So thanks for tuning in, and thanks for jogging my memory about that workout video we did. As mentioned, John is joining in. Welcome, John. And David is joining in. Welcome, David. Glad to have you guys tuning in. And Robert is here. Sean is asking, is it humanly possible to get as strong as a grizzly bear? And he's asking for a friend. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Go search for a video that Arnold Schwarzenegger did. This is one of his early videos. I'm not sure if it was Hercules in New York or one of his old cheesy videos back in the day. But even if you go on Google, or not Google, go on YouTube and search for Arnold fighting a bear, and you'll find it. And there's a scene there where Arnold Schwarzenegger is wrestling a bear, right? Back in the 70s or whenever the hell it was, or sometime long ago in a land far away. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Arnold Schwarzenegger wrestled a bear. Anyway, I don't know what the hell we're talking about here, but moving on. Philippe is joining in. Hey, Lee, where does the myth of taking creatine giving you moobs, man boobs, come from? I keep hearing that creatine fills up your muscle cells, but when you stop taking it, you get moobs. I have no idea, because this is the first time that I've heard of creatine causing man boobs. So you tell me. I've never heard of this before. Obviously, I don't know who you're talking to or who passed that myth along to you, but you should ask them, because I've never heard anyone complain of getting man boobs from creatine. For the record, I have been taking creatine since it became a mainstream supplement back in the early 90s. That's when I started taking creatine. And I have chesticles, but I don't have moobs. All right. But yeah, I've been using it for years, and I never had any issues with that. So I don't know. A lot of people make up shit, but I guess that's what it is. Anyway, I've never heard that, so that's new to me. Moving on. We got Bobby joining in. Welcome. Glad to see you as well. And there was the video I posted. Actually, that's my own comment I'm highlighting. Lee Dunnigan's got a question. It says, Lee, I've been on testosterone replacement therapy through my doctor for 4 months now. I feel much happier, more energy, and feel more positive, which is great. Awesome. Good for you. I'm glad to hear that it's working for you. I'm glad to hear that you're getting that sorted out, because again, this is one piece of the puzzle that can make a noticeable difference if you need it. Now, if you don't need it, it's not going to fix anything. Like, let me give you an example of how this works. If you don't have a nutritional deficiency, simply taking more of something is not going to help you. Like, a lot of people think if some is good, more is better, right? And that's a big mistake, but it's not always the case. But if you have a deficiency in something, then fixing that deficiency will help. But if there is no deficiency, then just simply taking more for the sake of more isn't always better, right? And sometimes it can have some negative effects there as well. But if you do need hormone replacement therapy and you're doing so under doctor supervision, then kudos to you. That's awesome, right? And just to give you a heads up, if you've been doing it for the past 4 months, you're due for blood work if you haven't been for repeat blood work. In fact, as myself and Mike Brown were talking about in our video we did together, he gets blood work done every 3 months. I think it's every 3 months. But anyway, keep in touch with your doctor about this, because you want to get blood work on a regular basis to make sure that it's not too high. Because if it's too high, that comes along with its own slew of side effects, from blood pressure issues to, can throw off the blood cell count and things like that. You don't want it too high. You want it like the Goldilocks rule, right? Not too hot, not too cold. We want it just right. And that's the idea of ongoing follow-up and blood work, to make sure that it's just right. But again, thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it. Ryan is joining in. He says, have you tried the type of scale that also measures body fat among other metrics? I have a Bluetooth Renpho scale, I think I'm pronouncing that right, from Amazon, and I'm wondering how accurate, or should I say inaccurate, it is. I had one of those digital electronic body fat scales back in the day, and it was not accurate for me. All right. So personally, I don't have one. I don't use one. My scale measures weight and it works really good for that. But as far as body fats on the scales, I've never found one personally that works good. Now, with that being said, I do know some of my personal coaching students. One guy in particular in our advanced VIP group, his name is Derek, told me that he has a particular scale that he bought online, and he says that it works well and it gives him consistent readings, and he's pleased with it. And he's done other types of body fat analysis, and they're on par with what his scale gives him. So there may be some out there. I mean, obviously there are some out there, but I've personally never got hung up on it myself. And my experience with the scales, again, this was one of the early ones that came out. Like, this was several years back now. I bought a scale that supposedly tracked your body fat percentage, as well as your, gave you your BMI and all that stuff, and your weight and blah, blah, blah. And I tried it, and I stepped on the scale, and it came up saying I was like 30% body fat. I was like, that's a bit high. I don't think there's no way I'm 30% body fat. It's kind of weird. And I got my wife, she stood on it, and she came up high body fat as well. And we're like, man, that's weird. I said, let me try it again. And I literally, we were just, two of us just bouncing back and forth on the scale, right? Because we're like, this is weird. The numbers are all over the place. So I stood on it, and then 2 minutes later, I stand on the scale again, and it comes back saying I'm 22% body fat. I'm like, what the hell? I went from 30 to 22% in T-minus 2 minutes. I said, that's pretty good fat loss, right? And then she got on it again, and her weight was all over the place, or her body fat was, right? Like, it tracked the weight accurately. Don't get me wrong on that. The weight numbers were consistent, but the body fat readings, the numbers I found were all over the place. So I would stand on it, 5 minutes later, stand on it again, and I get a different number. So bottom line, I just said that this is crap, and I packaged it up and sent it back. Right. So I wasn't happy with it. And that was the end of my adventure with body fat measuring scales, those electronic ones. What I do for measuring my body fat is I utilize skin fold calipers and measuring the skin fold thickness, and also I track my waist circumference. So I actually made some videos, and I'll share those with you. I'll just grab the link real quick and post it in our chat window. If you do a search for Lee Hayward, how to measure your body fat from home. I think that's what it's called. How to measure body fat at home. Yes, it is. Wow. I know the names of my own videos. All right, let me grab the link to that and post it in our video chat, which is, all right, I'm just going to say how to measure body fat video. Link done. All right, so that will be posted into the video comments, whether it's the video chat window or to the Facebook comments, so you can go check that out after this video chat. Right, stay with me here. So I explain how I go about it in that video there. But what I do, I have a couple of key measurements that I use, and I'm not hung up on the exact body fat percentage, like whether it's 12% or 15% or 11% or what. Like, who gives a shit? Nobody's going to look at you and say, what's your body fat percentage? They're going to look at you and say, man, you look good, or you look fat, or something in between. And even if you're doing a physique model competition or a bodybuilding competition or something like that, they don't get up on stage and measure your body fat. They look at you. Whoever looks the best, that's where you place, regardless of what the skin fold body fat tester says. If one guy looks better than the next, he's going to win. right? Even if the skin fold machine says that your body fat is higher or lower than the next guy, that doesn't matter. It's what do you look like, right? So ultimately, that's all that really matters is how do you look, how do you feel? But with that being said, tracking body fat measurements is a great way to know if you're on the right track to making progress. So how I do this for tracking progress is I track my skin fold thickness, and I only focus on my waistline because for most guys, the waistline is the stubborn area. That's where we tend to store the majority of our body fat, right? It's that magnet, right? I.e. why we have a lose your gut challenge, because most guys want to lose their gut, right? The waistline is the stubborn area. So if you're losing fat from your waist, chances are you're going to be losing it from everywhere else as well. So what I would do is I would track my skin fold measurements. I would take it 1 inch above my hip bone. If you ever get the AccuMeasure tracking, that's the one that they recommend. That's the skin fold site. 1 inch above the hip bone. And then I would also track right next to the belly button. That's a real thick, stubborn area right next to the belly button. That's where you probably get one of your thickest skin fold measurements on your body. But I would track those two and measure the skin fold thickness with the calipers. And for anyone who's concerned about accuracy, all you got to do is take a whole bunch of measurements and average them out. And the more you do it, the better and more accurate you're going to get. But like, do it 10 times if you have to. Like, just, click the skin fold caliper 10 times in the same area and average them out. Like, one time you might grab a little bit more skin and it might be like a millimeter thicker. Another time you might grab a little less skin that's a millimeter thinner. But the more you do it, the more accurate you're going to get. And just get a whole bunch of numbers in that same area and average them out and say, okay, that's my skin fold, right? That's all it is. And if you're doing it at home with a caliper, it only takes a minute. So I mean, it doesn't cost you any more money to measure multiple times. So take a bunch of measurements and just average them out so that you can get an idea of what your skin fold is. And another one that I would do is I take a tape measure and I'd measure the circumference of my waist. And I would do the same thing. I would measure around my hips, where you wear your pants, where your belt would fit and your pant line would fit around your waist. I'd measure that. And then I'd also measure right around the circumference of the belly button, which is usually the thickest part of your waist. And I would record those waistline measurements. And my goal when I'm training for fat loss is I just want to see some progress, whether it's losing a millimeter on the skin fold thickness or whether it's losing, a half a centimeter on the waistline measurements or whatever, or if you're using inches, like a quarter of an inch or something. But I just want to see progress. That's it. And as long as there is progress, slow progress compounds into big progress over time. So that's all. I would just use that as my benchmark. If the waistline is getting slimmer, if the weight on the scale is moving in the right direction, and I'm feeling good and enjoying the process, then I'm on the right track. Let's keep pushing forward. If it wasn't moving, or God forbid it got bigger, then I know something needs to change, right? We got to go back to the drawing board and reevaluate what we're doing. And this is how I would track my body fat. And I never got caught up in the specific numbers, right? Oh, I'm 10%, I'm 9%, I'm 12%, I'm 15%, I'm 16%. Like, who gives a shit what percent it is? It's what do you look like? Are you making progress? That's what matters the most. And the reason why I don't get caught up in the numbers is because different body fat testing methods will give you different numbers. So you could go get a DEXA scan and it might say you're 10%. And then you could go get some body scan at another place and it might say you're 20%. And then you could go get underwater weighing and it might say you're 15%. And then you could do a body fat skin fold caliper test and it might say you're 18%. Like, they're all going to have margins of error. So, like, who cares what the exact number is? You just want to focus on the progress. As long as you're getting leaner, you're on the right track. All right. My enthusiastic observation is over for that one. So that was Ryan's question about bathroom scales from Amazon. And with that being said, if anybody actually has one that they're pleased with and gives them reliable results, feel free to share it down in the comments. If you have an electronic body fat scale measure that you're happy with and you feel is relatively accurate, please let me know. And I'll probably reach out to my coaching student, Derek, and ask him what his is, because he did mention it. We were having this conversation in our advanced coaching group, and he brought it up, but I can't remember the brand or the model of scale that he has. But anyway, he was happy with it. So, all right, moving on. We have Naz joining in. How you doing? We have David joining in saying, do you prefer flat dumbbell press or barbell press, or any difference in your opinion? It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Both are good. Both have advantages or disadvantages, however you want to look at it. It's a similar movement pattern, regardless if you're using dumbbells or a barbell. It's not right, wrong, good, or bad. It's just different. And I will utilize both. In fact, I'll utilize dumbbells, I'll utilize barbells, I'll utilize machines, and even body weight exercises such as push-ups or dips. I mean, they're all similar movement patterns, working the similar muscle groups. So you can incorporate different exercise variations there. As far as the advantages with dumbbells, one big advantage that dumbbells have over barbells is you got two weights. So each side is handling an equal workload, and it will build balance and proportion between the left and right sides. So if you have an imbalance, one side is stronger than the other, one side is a bit more bigger or fuller than the other, which is normal. Most people have an imbalance between their left and right sides. Generally speaking, we're stronger and more developed in our dominant side. So if you're right-handed, you're generally going to be stronger and more developed in your right side. If you're left-handed, the opposite will be true. But that's normal. It also applies to the legs. Like, we have a dominant leg and a non-dominant leg. Anybody who's into skateboarding or surfing or snowboarding knows this, because you're either regular foot or your goofy foot, depending on what your lead leg is, right? That's your dominant leg. Same as you're right-handed or you're left-handed. So you will notice some imbalances. So if you do have any imbalances, dumbbells are great because they force each side to handle equal workload, and you'll develop equally over time. When you use barbells and machines, your stronger side may overcompensate ever so slightly. Like, it's hard to notice it, but there could be ever so slight imbalance. Like, it might not be a 50-50. It could be like 45-55, where the stronger side is handling a little more than the weaker side. And that could accentuate any imbalances that you have. So that's one of the drawbacks with barbells. One of the advantages with barbells is you can generally lift more weight, right? When you're lifting one weight, you can generally lift heavier and thus place more stress on the muscle because of that. With dumbbells, there's more balance and stabilization involved, because you got to balance two weights instead of one. So then you engage more stabilizer muscles. So again, what could be considered an advantage for one could be considered a disadvantage for the other, and vice versa, right? So again, it's not right or wrong. It's just different, and I personally include both. So that's kind of the breakdown. And another nice thing about dumbbells as well, if you're training by yourself, you're not going to get pinned under a heavy barbell. So if you're doing dumbbell benches by yourself, the worst thing that's going to happen is, oh, I can't lift the weights. Drop them, right? You're not going to be stapled to the bench with a barbell across your chest yelling for help, right? So that's another advantage over dumbbells versus barbells. But again, as far as muscle development, they both work equally fine. You can choose the variation that you prefer, or like I do, switch it up. Jerry is joining in. Welcome, Jerry. He says he's a big fan and he has a question. Good stuff. Do you think you can do a push-pull legs home workout video? I think I can. I actually think I have one that I can share with you. And seeing I'm on the share mood today, I'm going to find it for you. So give me a moment. I have a playlist covering home workouts for all your major muscle groups, utilizing simple exercises that can be done from home with dumbbells. So I'm going to share my link to, it's a home gym dumbbell workouts for every body part. So it's a complete playlist that I put together. It has a chest workout, a back workout, a bicep workout, a tricep workout, a shoulder workout, and a leg workout, all that can be done from home using dumbbells and body weight exercises. So I'm going to post that into our chat window just for you, Jerry. So here is the home gym dumbbell workout playlist for Jerry. Boom. So when this video is over, you can go and check that out. And again, the links should be posted up in our comments. Moving on. Let's see what else. And Jerry says, thank you for the good advice. You're very welcome, my friend. Glad to help. We have Neil joining in. Good morning, Lee. I see Neil's over in the other side of the world. It's a Saturday morning for him, and it's a Friday afternoon for me. But we're all here together. That's the main thing. He says, any idea on how to unstiff my shoulders for martial arts? It's been a decade since I've practiced, and I have stiff shoulders, and maneuvering ain't that smooth anymore. Welcome to the wonderful world of getting old. I've never heard anyone refer to that before as, I want to unstiff my shoulders. Right? You want to improve shoulder mobility. That's the big one. And this is something that can certainly get stiff and tight as you get older, especially if you're not using it. And if you talk to any physical therapist and people who are like chiropractors and people who are involved with this and personal trainers and whatever, the common phrase that you hear over and over again is movement is medicine. Movement is medicine. If you don't use it, it's going to seize up, right? So you got to start moving and utilizing it to improve your mobility in your shoulders. And this is something that you can do at home with minimal equipment to help improve it. I mean, obviously stuff that you can do at the gym as well, but you got to get moving and start small and build from there. So I actually have some videos that I'm going to share for you. Just give me a moment now. We're in the real video sharing mode. Lee Hayward. I think it's, if you do search for rotator cuff, let me see if that's the one I'm referring to. Or is it shoulder mobility? I can't remember. Yeah, there's over 1,000 videos on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, so it's pretty cool that I can still remember most of them. Geez, I can remember the name, but I can't find the video. Where are you two? I'm going to dig that one up. I'm looking for it because I want to share that link with you. But it's covers. There's a couple of videos, and I'm going to try and dig them up. Just give me a moment here. And while I'm doing that, if anyone else has any other questions or comments they want to post in, feel free to do so. Let's see, where is that? Where is that? Where is that? Shoulders. Shoulder pain, shoulder this, shoulder workout. No, I want shoulder mobility, shoulder stretching, even though that one would be pretty good as well. Actually, here's one. It's not the exact one that I was thinking of, but it's still a goodie nonetheless. I'm going to post this link. It's a shoulder workout that you can do at home using resistance bands. And it's actually really good, not only for strengthening the shoulders, but it's good for the mobility of the shoulders as well. It's not the exact one that I was looking for, but it'll certainly help. So this one's for you, Neil. So shoulder workout from home, I'll call it. Boom, link posted. And let's see if I can find that other one that I was referring to now. Where's that to? Jai Joe Jumpins. I can visualize this, the exact video I'm looking. There we go. There we go. Okay. It's actually a shoulder warm-up routine that I do before every workout. It's kind of like a preventative measure. There we go. I found it. So I'm going to share that one with you as well. So in our video chat there's a couple shoulder videos that you can go check out, Neil. Shoulder warm-up routine. That's what it's called. There, that one should come through. Boom, I think it's posted. All right. You guys got a lot of homework to do after this video chat. All right. Okay, what else? And a follow-up question. He said he wants to unstiff his shoulders, and he says, maybe I should lose some muscle. No, you do not want to lose muscle. All right, like that's, chances are, I mean, I don't see a picture of you, but I'm willing to bet if you want to lose weight, you could probably lose some body fat. Unless you're walking around with saran wrap skin and visible abs and striations from head to toe, and you have zero excess body fat on your frame, which I highly doubt because those people are few and far between, you can lose some body fat if you want to trim off some weight without losing muscle. We want muscle. Muscle is good. The more muscle you have within reason is good. Now, the reason I say within reason, because I mean, you know, if you're like a 300-pound Mr. Olympia competitor or something like that, no, that's not advantageous from a martial arts perspective. But having a muscular physique, an athletic built muscular physique, is certainly advantageous, and that'll just help increase your strength, your power, your speed, and all that stuff. So I would not recommend anybody going out and purposely trying to lose muscle unless you're like 250 pounds and shredded or something like that. And again, if you're 250 pounds and shredded, you're not watching my videos. All right. So don't lose muscle is what I'm getting at, Neil, right? Focus on improving your mobility, working on shoulder flexibility and mobility. And if you want to lose weight, focus on losing body fat, not losing muscle. All right, we have Kelvin. Sorry, I thought it was Kevin. It's Kelvin joining in. What would you suggest for blood flow to get it working better? I'd like to have a bit more context on what you're referring to when you say blood flow and getting it working better. Do you mean just in terms of general exercise and blood flow for specific body parts, or is it blood flow from a cardiac perspective? Blood flow for, again, I'd want to know more, but the general rule of thumb, as I mentioned earlier, is movement is medicine. So if you want to improve blood flow to specific areas, you want to move and exercise those areas. But again, I'd like, if you're still watching this, Kevin, and you're joining in, feel free to elaborate on what it is you're trying to get more blood flow, if it's a specific muscle group, specific body part, or if it's for general cardiac health. Kind of elaborate on your question, and I might be able to give you a better quality answer. Ryan, thanks for those links, Lee, and advice. Very helpful as always. You're welcome, my friend. Glad to help. Glad you enjoy it. John's joined in, says, hi, pal. My free day once a week is not helping. Dang, I wish I could out-train a bad diet. A free day. I'm assuming free day means cheat day. And I want to elaborate on this. This is something we kind of discussed during our Lose Your Gut Challenge group, but I'm going to share it here as well. A cheat day could sabotage your entire fat loss progress. Now, I'm not saying that you're not allowed to have, foods that you enjoy or some not so good foods from time to time, but you got to be strategic about it, right? And there is ways to go about enjoying yourself without blowing things off the rails, right? There's ways of going about it, but what you could be very often doing, and I'm just going to share the typical scenario I see and something that I've done myself, is let's say you're really strict with your training and your nutrition, and maybe you're creating a 500 calorie a day deficit, and you're doing that Monday through Saturday, and Sunday rolls around, and Sunday is your cheat day, or whatever day you choose to have it, but let's just assume it's Sunday. Sunday's cheat day. So all week long, you created a 500 calorie a day deficit. So 500 times 6, you got yourself a 3,000 calorie deficit. And then you go out there and you have a big old dirty cheat day, and you go out and you have pizza and go to the all-you-can-eat buffet and go out for brunch and potato chips or whatever your junk food of choice is. It's easy to consume an extra 3,000 calories or more on a cheat day, especially if you're eating high-calorie foods, especially if you're eating high-fatty foods, because fat is very calorie-dense. Like you go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, and if there's deep-fried foods and sauces and gravies, and you have dessert, throw in some alcoholic beverages or something along those lines, you could easily pile on a lot of calories. And what could end up happening is you could be canceling out a whole week of diet and exercise through your free day / cheat day. And I've seen this happen over and over again. And I've been guilty of this myself in the past, right? It's people say, well, I'm working out, I'm on a diet, I'm doing everything right. Why am I not seeing progress? And then when we start to like look under the hood and see, okay, well, let's break things down and see exactly what you're doing. And then they say, well, cheat day rolls around and I eat whatever the hell I want. Well, cheat day calories still count, right? Just because you call it a cheat day or a free day or whatever you want to give it a name, it still counts, right? It's not like those calories just evaporate in thin air because it's on a cheat day, right? They still count. And to kind of give you an analogy of how this can count, imagine that you're trying to save money and you're very frugal. You're very cautious over your spending habits and you're clipping coupons and you're always buying no-name products and not splurging on anything. You're always like you're Scrooge. You're very frugal and save, coupon clip, not going to buy this, not going to do that, right? I'm going to cancel my cable TV because I don't want to spend extra money. I'm frugal, right? You're always pinching pennies and saving money, and you do that all month long. But you got one nasty little vice, one habit. You like to go to Las Vegas and play the slot machines, and you have a vacation planned for Las Vegas, and you go down there and you blow a bunch of money on the slot machines and the blackjack tables. You could cancel out months of coupon clipping and penny pinching and buying no-name bargain products in one weekend in Las Vegas, right? Like, regardless of how hard you work to save money, you could have been saving money for months on end, and then one weekend, like a fart in the wind, is gone. And when you blow the money, it's not like that money just doesn't count and evaporates in the thin air. It still shows up on your bank statement, still shows up on your credit card statement. You still got to pay it back. Same applies with fitness and nutrition, right? You could be dieting all week long, have a binge on the weekend, but that binge still counts. It's not like those calories get evaporated because we call it a cheat day. They still count, and they still go towards your overall average for the week, your overall average for the month, and for the year. And if you want to lose fat and keep it off, it's not about what you eat day to day. It's the average over the long term. Like, you could have a day where you eat a little more. You could have a day where you eat a little less, right? Like, there's going to be natural fluctuations based on your appetite and your food consumption, your activity level, all that kind of stuff. But over the long term, are you averaging a calorie surplus or are you averaging a calorie deficit? If your weight is going up, you're averaging a surplus, right? Sorry to say it, regardless of how strict you are thinking you are with your diet, if it's going up, the long-term average is a surplus. If it's going down, the long-term average is a deficit, right? We can't escape the numbers. Right? Just the same with your bank account. If you spend more money than you earn, you're going to go broke. If you make more money than you spend, you're going to accumulate wealth, right? The numbers don't lie, right? So you have to focus on the long-term averages. And the good thing about this is it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough, but good enough consistently. So, there's going to be natural fluctuations, but as long as you're having more good days than bad and the overall average is in your favor, you can still make progress. Vice versa, if you have more bad days than good and the overall average is not in your favor, you're going to be falling behind. And if it balances out, you're just going to be stuck in a plateau and saying, what the hell is wrong? And you're going to be frustrated. So we have to tip the scale in favor of more good days than bad and slowly making progress. And this is something that we just spent the last week breaking this down into great detail over in the Lose Your Gut Challenge group. So if you want more information about this and breaking it down, feel free to reach out to me and I can share some of that stuff with you. All right. Another enthusiastic observation, as Paul would like to say. Rod's asking, have I tried cannabis before a workout? No, I have not. Right. So I'd never smoked cannabis when it was illegal. I'm not smoking it now that it is legal, and I couldn't care less. So I have no real world feedback to offer on that. If anybody else partakes in the weed and could have some feedback to share for Rod, by all means, feel free to do so. But I have no feedback. I don't smoke it. I've tried it before, but I've never been a smoker. Right. Move on. Let's see what else we got. Rod is saying, as long as I got dumbbells, I'm satisfied. Don't need all the other stuff. Well, you can certainly get started with dumbbells, and you can certainly make good progress with dumbbells, but that will be short-lived, right? Like eventually, if you progress and you stay consistent with training, you're going to evolve, and it's going to get to the point where you need either more equipment or you need to join a gym. And this is just the way the process evolves. Like when people are new, like, oh, I just need something simple, right? I just need a home workout DVD to follow along, or I need a little set of resistance bands at home, or whatever, just something small, something simple, whatever. I just need the basics, right? Or you see some people, I just need to curl soup cans and do a 20-minute workout on TV. Like, a lot of people start off with the bare bones basics, but as you progress, it's inevitable that you're going to want to evolve and expand your repertoire and move into bigger and better things, right? It's just like someone like starting, this applies to so many things. Like, think of someone who's getting involved with fishing. You've never ever fished before, and you say, I'm just going to go to the department store, get the cheapest old fishing rod. I'm going to buy a hook. I'm going to go dig up a worm, and that's it. All I need is a fishing rod, a hook, and a worm, and I'm set to go. And then they go out and try that, and the next thing you know, they see somebody else, at the pond or at the lake, and geez, he's got all the fancy gear and the big tackle box and the fancy rod and reel and everything else. You're like, man, he's catching all the fish. I'm not catching jack shit with my cheap old rod, hook, and worm. Maybe I need to upgrade. And then next thing you know, you're buying a better rod, you're buying more tackle, you're buying more. The next thing you know, you're at the lake and you see, geez, I can't cast out far enough. And look, that guy's got a nice boat, right? He's got a nice fishing boat and all set up and got a proper seat and everything else. And I need to keep up with him. And it just becomes, you gradually evolve as you get deeper and deeper into it. And then before you know it, you're full-blown fisherman with all the gear, right? And then, then you're watching fishing videos on YouTube, reading fishing magazines, and, you're obsessed with fishing. And this applies to everything. It could be apply to bodybuilding and fitness. It could apply to, cars. It could apply to cycling. It could apply to any sport or hobby or activity you're involved with. It could start off as this small, simple thing like, oh, I just need a set of dumbbells. And then, 5-10 years later, here you are. You probably have 2 gym memberships and a full-blown home gym and everything else in between, right? That's what I've got. I got a full-blown home gym. I got gym memberships, right? I mean, it evolves, and the more serious you get, the more tools and stuff you're going to need, right? Just like if a carpenter is going to get the job done, he needs to have the right tools. Same thing applies if you're going to build your body. You're going to need to have the right tools. You're never going to see a professional carpenter show up and say, well, I've got a hammer and a screwdriver, and that's it. No, right? He's going to have a garage full of tools, and he's going to have a truck full of tools, and every weird and wacky thing that you can imagine, right, in his repertoire of equipment, right, from power drills and power saws and all kinds of doodads and gadgets and everything that he needs to get the job done, right? If you're going to get the job done right, you need to have the tools. So another enthusiastic observation by Lee. And that brings us up to over an hour. Wow. Okay. So we just cracked the 1 hour mark, folks. Hopefully you enjoyed this video chat. I enjoy doing them. I always get a chuckle out of this, and I do enjoy sharing. It's something I'm passionate about and have a lot of fun doing. So hopefully you got some value from it. If you do have any questions or feedback, or if there's anything that I discussed that you would like to elaborate on more, feel free to reach out to me. Again, I have my details down below in the video description. You can friend me up over on Facebook and send me a message through there. If you're anti-Facebook and you want to go old school with email, you can do that as well. I've got my email address down there below, so you can email me. And if you want to elaborate on anything we discussed, feel free to do so. Or if you would like some personal help with a fitness and nutrition program of your own, let me know. And I can share some information and share some stuff that I have. And in fact, I have recently put together a brand new ebook that outlines the Muscle After 40 Blueprint program. Breaks it down into full detail of how the program works, what it is, what's included, what you can expect, and lays it out, step by step, exactly our 3-phase system for achieving a lean gain body recomposition. So if that's something you're interested in, just send me an email and ask for the Muscle After 40 ebook, and I'll send it over to you. All right, I'm going to get ready and close this up. Hopefully you enjoyed the video chat, and I will be talking to you next week, same time, same place. I'll always be doing a live stream every Friday through YouTube as well as through the Facebook group. So talk to you then. Have yourself a great weekend. Over and out.